Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Helen and you're watching What Helen Reads, and today I'm super excited because I'm going to be building my TBR for the month of September. This is always one of my favourite videos to record of the month because it's always a great surprise to find out what the jar is going to have in store for me. I always pick 2 mystery books from a recommendation jar of books that you've recommended to me. I also have a jar that contains 12 recommendations from 12 of my favourite booktubers, and then as well I also use some prompt cards. So my TBR always has between sort of 8 and 10 books on it, and 4 of those books are mystery books. So I know what the other ones are going to be this month, but I have no idea what I'm going to pull from the jar. As always, I'm going to start with this jar here, and if you're familiar with my format, you've watched me build a TBR before, then you know that this particular jar contains recommendations from viewers. So if you have a book that you want to recommend to me, then please let me know in the comments down below, or use my book recommendation form, a link to which is in the description of every single one of my videos. There you can basically go to a Google form and let me know what book you want me to read, who the author is and why you're recommending it to me. Now of course it needs to be a romance recommendation, but any subgenre of romance is absolutely acceptable. I have a look at those recommendations every single month, and if I haven't read it before and it takes my fancy, then I will write it on a slip of paper, turn it into a star and pop it into this jar for a chance to be pulled out. This month I actually had 4 new recommendations that went into the jar. The first one was Perfection by R.L. Mathewson. Then someone recommended to me Torment by Dylan Page. I also put in Rain by Roxy Noir, and someone recommended the entire Sparrow Fall series by Catherine Cowles. So I actually included the first book in that series, which is Fragile Sanctuary. So hopefully if that one comes out, then I'll like that one. I'll be able to go on to read the rest of the series, because I've never actually read Catherine Cowles before, mainly because she writes predominantly contemporary or romantic suspense romances, and they are not always my favourites. I do enjoy them when I read them, but I do lean more heavily into mafia or dark romances. So I've never gotten around to picking up a book from Catherine Cowles. So this is a good opportunity if she is to come out of the jar. So let's, as I always do then, let's give this a really good shake. Shake. And I'm going to see what colours we're going to get out this time. And what I've done is I've selected 2 stars, a yellow and a blue star. So I'm going to pop this jar back on the shelf, and then first of all I'm going to open this yellow star and see which book is on here. This is always the best part, right, because I can never actually get into it. They're folded so well that I can never find the end. Okay, so the first recommendation that was on a yellow bit of paper is a book called The Darkest Corner of the Heart by Lisina Coney, if I can read my writing correct. We'll check that on Amazon shortly. This was actually recommended by an anonymous viewer, so I should mention that as well. If you don't want to tell me who you are when you're leaving me a recommendation, then you can just leave that part blank and you don't have to tell me who you are. And I've written down on here as well that this one is a forbidden age gap contemporary grumpy sunshine romance. So I'm just going to hold this up so you can see that that is definitely the one I picked. And now let's turn to Amazon to see what this book is about. Okay, so I was right, it is Lisina Coney. This is The Darkest Corner of the Heart, and it's actually book 2 in the Brightest Light series. So I haven't read book 1, but presumably you can read these out of order if you want to. And this one is 413 pages, and it was first published in February of 2024. The blurb on this one says, "Forbidden, that's what they are to each other. Maddie Stevens has never felt good enough, not good enough to keep her parents' love, not good enough to be independent and stop being her brother's problem, not good enough to build the future she wants. When she injures her ankle before a ballet audition that could change her career forever, she's convinced her life is over at 21. What's the point of having dreams when they can go down the drain at any moment?" And because the universe has a cruel sense of humour, her physical therapist turns out to be a tank-shaped grouch who doesn't even seem to like her that much. It's totally unfair that, for 6 weeks, she's forced to look at the handsome beard and listen to that deep voice that makes her head all dizzy. Top that with the fact that he's 10 years her senior, and falling for James Simmons is a recipe for disaster. But when their forced proximity makes the lines start blurring, the forbidden temptation becomes impossible to resist. So I think that sounds really good, and I'm really looking forward to giving that one a try. So thank you very much for the recommendation if it was you who recommended it. And if you feel brave enough, please let me know if it was you in the comments down below, or maybe you want to wait until I've read it and reviewed it and then let me know if it was you, if I like it. Okay, so then we have the other one, which is a blue star. So let's open this one up and see what this one is. And I can already see part of it, and if it's the book that I think it is, once I've fully revealed it, then it is a book that I've actually already read. So the book that has been recommended here is Mafia Mistress by Mila Finelli, and it was recommended by Jessica Brockington. So thank you so much for the recommendation. I'll hold it up just so that you can see, in fact, that that is the book that was recommended to me. So this must have been in the jar for some time, because I have in fact read Mafia Mistress. I absolutely loved it, and you'll see that I've got a book dedicated to that whole series by Mila Finelli, because I absolutely loved the Kings of Italy series. So totally obsessed, a fantastic recommendation, 5-star read. So thank you so much for the recommendation. But because I have read it, it means I can actually get to pick another one out of the jar. So we'll bring this back off the shelf, we'll give it another little shuffle, and let's see which one we can pick out. And I'll try my best not to spill them out all over the floor this time. So let's have a go and see what I get here. Let's get another blue one, because I was going to do a blue one, right? So let me get this blue one here. Well, this looks like it's going to be a good one as well. So very pleased with this pick. So this one is Paved in Blood by Sonja Gray. It's a mafia romance, and it was recommended to me by Misty Morning. So I'm going to hold that up so you can see that that is now the one that has been recommended. There you go. Hopefully that will focus so you can see it. Now, I haven't read Paved in Blood, but I have read a couple of others by Sonja Gray, and I've really enjoyed her mafia romances so far. So I'm really excited that I've picked this one out. So let's take a look and see what this one is about. So this one is Paved in Blood by Sonja Gray. It's book 1 in the Melnikov Bratva series, of which it looks like there's 5 books. It is 317 pages long and was first published in August 2023. And the blurb on this one says, "I'll walk through hell to be with him, even if the path is paved in blood. Emily. Roman Melnikov is a deadly man in an expensive suit, but I know what lies beneath the facade, the scars and tattoos that hint at the man he really is. He came here to find his sister, and his search leads him to my dad and his friends. We both want to take them down, and the only way to do that is together. I had no idea how dangerous it would be, or that by the end of it we'd all be covered in blood. Loving Roman is dangerous, but I can't let him go. His path is leading him straight to hell, and it looks like I'm coming along for the ride." Roman. The plan was simple: bring our Bratva to America, find the scum who took my sister, and kill them all. But then I meet Emily, the daughter of the enemy, and I can't let her go. She's everything I'm not: sweet, innocent, good. Far too good for someone like me, but I can't stay away, and now she's a part of this change of plans. The only way to keep her safe is to keep her by my side or on her knees. To everyone else, she's my pet, the woman who belongs to me. To me, she's everything, the woman who owns every part of me. I will do anything to keep her safe, and together we're going to paint this city red. So that sounds really good. I'm really looking forward to that one. I'm very excited I picked that one from the jar, so thank you so much for the recommendation. I have, like I said, really enjoyed what I've read so far from Sonja Gray, so I'm expecting good things from this one. Okay, so they are the first 2 books then from the recommendation jar from you, and now I have this little jar where I put 12 recommendations from 12 of my favourite booktubers, and so each month I've been picking one out, and so these are their kind of part of their top books for 2024. So let me just go in here. I'm going to pick out this light blue one, and let's see what this is. Okay, so this is another contemporary romance. It's The Devil and the Deep Blue Sea by Elizabeth O'Rourke, and it was recommended by Jess from Peace Love Books. It says it's an enemies to lovers contemporary romance. So I'm just going to hold this up so you can see, hopefully again if that will focus, that that is the one that I picked. And I have read a couple from Elizabeth O'Rourke before, and I really have enjoyed what I've read so far. So I'm pleased to have picked this one out of the jar as well. I'm going to put it back on the shelf there while I then bring this book up so we can have a look to see what this one is about. Okay, so this is The Devil in the Deep Blue Sea by Elizabeth O'Rourke, and it's book 2 in the Grumpy Devils series. And in fact, one of the books I have read from Elizabeth O'Rourke before is book 1 in this series, A Deal with the Devil, which I really did enjoy, and so it's great then that I can continue in this series. So this particular book is 320 pages and was published, or at least this version of it was published in October 2023. Sand, sea and stuck with your ex-boyfriend's grumpy brother in paradise, the Devil series is a sexy blend of spice, romance and grumpy men. Prepare to laugh, swoon and cry. Perfect for fans of Christina Lauren and Emma Chase. You don't really know a guy until you've vacationed with him. When Drew Wilson's ex-boyfriend Joel, Six Bailey, asks her to go on his family trip to Hawaii with him just as her life is falling apart, she decides it's the perfect time to give him another chance. The hitch. The Bailey family includes Six's rude older brother Joshua, a hot nerd doctor who has hated Drew since the moment they met and once suggested she'd steal the family silver. Drew is determined to win the Baileys over and give this thing with Six a fair shot, but Joshua is making that difficult. Not simply because he is in her way at every turn, but because as one tropical adventure leads to the next, she is beginning to wonder if obnoxious, odious Joshua might be the... And that is actually where the blurb ends, so I'm assuming there should be more to that sentence, and maybe it should be the one, I don't know. But either way, like I said, I really enjoyed book 1 in this series, so excited to pick up book 2. So the final mystery for today is always generated by these prompt cards. So what I tend to do is I basically just shuffle through these cards and then pick a book based on the prompt. So the last one that I picked, so the one we had last month was Your Next Book is a Book That Was Gifted to You. I still haven't read that one yet, but I will be doing very soon. So let's give these a shuffle and see what we can come up with. Okay, so the one that has come out on top is Read a Cowboy Romance Book. So I don't know if I've got any cowboy romances on my TBR, but let me just have a quick look to see what I've got. Otherwise, I do have a couple in mind that we can investigate. So let me first of all go to my list to see if I can find a cowboy romance. Okay, so I didn't actually have a cowboy romance that was obviously a cowboy romance on my contemporary kind of list, but I have recently added one to my historical romances. This is a book called Eyes of Silver, Eyes of Gold by Ellen O'Connell, and it's a book that Jen from the Book Refuge has recommended on a number of occasions, and recently did a recommendation video about some of her Holy Grail historical romances, and she mentioned this book again, and I thought, yeah, she has recommended this several times. I've always been quite intrigued to read it, and this is probably the perfect opportunity to not only pick up another historical, because I always like to give them a go where I can, but also pick a cowboy romance as well. So I'm going to put this back on the shelf up here. Now it does look like it's a standalone. It's 427 pages and the publication date on this particular version is April 2010. So a pretty old romance book by today's standards. So Eyes of Silver, Eyes of Gold is a story of family conflict set in Colorado in 1885. Anne Wells has embarrassed her rigidly proper family since she was a child with the occasional but grievous lapses from ladylike behaviour. They blame those lapses for the disgraceful fact that she is a spinster at 28. Cord Bennett, the son of his father's second marriage to a Cheyenne woman, is more than an embarrassment to his well-to-do family of ranchers and lawyers. They are ashamed and afraid of their black sheep. When Anne and Cord are found alone together, her father's fury leads to violence. Cord's family is more than willing to believe that the fault is his. Can Anne and Cord use the freedom of being condemned for sins they didn't commit to make a life together? Or will their disapproving, interfering family tear them apart? Jen speaks really highly of this book, and it seems like fate really that she's recently recommended it. I recently added it to my TBR, and now I've pulled this particular card out of the stack to read a cowboy romance. So that is going to be added to the list for next month. So with the jars done and the prompt card done, now it's time to take a look at what else I'm going to be picking up next month. And the first two books are going to be book books by Kresley because I'm still working my way through the Immortals After Dark series as part of the read along with Amber from Amber Reads Romance. Now, I have not yet read the 2 books that come before this, so the August reads, but I'll be reading those in the next week, I will imagine, and so I'll be ready to read the next 2 books come September. So first up will be book 15 in this series, and it's Dark Skye. This one is 433 pages and it was first published in August of 2014. Like I said, this is the 15th instalment in the Immortals After Dark series, and it says it's a Romeo and Juliet style enemies to lovers between a fierce warrior and the enchanting sorceress that stole his heart from Young. So centuries have passed since Thronos, Lord of Skye Hall, lost Melanthe. Once childhood lovers, the tragedy of war tore them apart and turned them to enemies. But despite the vendetta he holds against her, his desire for her has not subsided. Melanthe was once a powerful sorceress. Now she spends her days struggling to reclaim her gifts and searching for love and acceptance in all the wrong places. Deep down, she knows her heart lies with Thronos. She has not forgotten how he protected her with his life until she was ripped from the shelters of his arms. With their families at war and the world burning around them, will they succumb to the brutal chaos that threatens everything they cherish, or can the two rekindle their childhood love in time to save both their worlds? Now, I'm actually really looking forward to this couple because this couple has been teased for a number of books now, and we have seen Melanthe. We know who she is, and we've had a romance with her sister, and also we have seen a few glimpses of Thronos as well. And in fact, both of them were on kind of Torture Island a couple of books ago, and we saw that when creatures started to escape, Thronos in fact did take Melanthe and has taken her somewhere. So I'm really looking forward to finding out exactly where he's taken her and how they are going to end up together. So that is the first one. And the second one that I'll be picking up then, of course, is going to be book 16 in the series, which is Sweet Ruin. This one is 433 pages as well, and it was published in December 2015. So it says, an immortal assassin is caught between desire and duty in this sizzling new novel from Kresley. As an orphan, Josephine was never sure of who or what she was growing up. Outcasted for her strange powers and volatility, protecting Thaddeus, her baby brother, became her entire life. But when Thaddeus is taken away from her, Jo seamlessly transitions into a ruthless villain. Whether by bow or in bed, Archer Rune, the Bane blood, never fails to eliminate his targets. But when he encounters Jo, her beauty mesmerises him before he can strike against his enemy, Nyx, the oldest Valkyrie alive, who happens to be accompanied by Jo's brother. In an attempt to protect Thad, she pierces Rune with her bite and steals his forbidden blood, leaving him aching with pleasure. Unable to deny what burns between them, Rune and Jo become entangled in a treacherous battle between loyalty and lust. But the question looms, which one will emerge triumphant? So that sounds really interesting as well. So I'm really pleased to be continuing with the series and cannot wait to pick both of these ones up. Okay then, so next up I've got a couple of new releases that I'm definitely going to be adding to my list, and one of those is Wild Card by Elsie Silver, which is due out on the 9th of September. This is going to be book 4 in the Rose Hill series. Can't believe we're up to book 4 already. I've loved every single book in this series so far, so really excited to be picking this one up. And the blurb on this one said, Sebastian Rousseau is a grumpy, hot as hell fire pilot who is too damn good with his hands. It's a perfect combination, but unfortunately for me, he's also my ex-boyfriend's dad. A chance meeting brought us together and a misconnection has kept us apart. 1 year later, a stroke of fate has us living under the same roof, which makes everything between us downright messy. Because even after all this time, he's still the man I think about when I fall asleep. The one I can't get over, no matter how hard I try. He's working on mending a fragile relationship with his son, and we both know acting on these urges would be the ultimate betrayal. But I see the heat in his eyes, that look of need that never fails to send a shiver down my spine. The mutual longing is borderline unbearable, and the shimmering heat between us is downright palpable. We both know there are rules when it comes to situations like this, but then again, following the rules never has been my strong suit. Elsie Silver always delivers an absolutely fantastic romance, So I cannot imagine this one will be any different, and hopefully it will be another 5-star read. So another one that I'm really hoping to pick up early in September, because I've applied for an ARC of this one. I don't know actually if I'm going to get it or not, but it's the latest book that's coming out by A. Zavarelli called Beautiful Torment. So it does come out on the 26th of September. So if I get the ARC, I'll obviously definitely read it in September. If I don't get the ARC, then I will still endeavour to read it in September, but obviously being released so close to the end of the month, it really just depends how I'm getting on with the rest of my reading and if I'm going to be able to squeeze it in. But hopefully I will be able to kind of work around it and make sure I plan so that I can definitely finish it in September. So let's take a look at this, what this one is about. So this is book 1 in a new series that A. Zavarelli is writing called Empire of Kings, and it looks like it's going to be another dark romance. Actually, there is no information on this one at all. It does say that the blurb is coming soon, and in fact, as I'm recording this video today, there hasn't been a cover reveal for this one yet either. So I'll show on the screen the current cover that is like a placeholder on Amazon. So this one is an absolute mystery, but really want to read that one. Another ARC that I'm going to be getting is for a book called Squatch Out by Deysi O'Donnell, and this is actually due out on the 25th of September, but I know I'm definitely going to be able to read it in time because I should be getting the ARC later this week. So this one is a Bigfoot shifter rom-com, and it says, broadcasting a Bigfoot mating call while camping in the PNW is a bad idea. Unless you're prepared for a massive Squatch to come barreling out of the woods with a raging, you can probably guess. I'm not prepared when he throws me over his shoulder, carries me off to a cave, pleasures himself and then leaves. Neither is he. Turns out Sean is only a part-time Bigfoot and he can't seem to stay human around me. Every time he gets close, he scotches out. The more time I spend with him, the longer he's able to stay human. His gentle touches turn to heated kisses, and then I'm falling for this sweet and funny monster man. Until a villainous friend catches him on camera and threatens to expose him. My time in the mountains is almost up, but how am I going to keep his secret safe when it's time for me to go back to my boring life? Okay, so that's actually 9 books that is going on to my TBR for the month of September, and they are the ones that I'm going to be committing to reading next month. But there's 2 other honorary mentions I want to make. The first one is that on the 23rd of September we will be getting Alchemised by SenLinYu. Now I've actually pre-ordered a copy of this book from Waterstones because they are doing a really nice edition that is unique to the UK, so I've got that particular book on order. And if you don't know, this is a kind of reimagining of a fan fiction that SenLinYu wrote called Manacled. It is kind of a Harry Potter, a dark version of Harry Potter meets The Handmaid's Tale, and that is kind of the premise of that particular fanfic. Now, it's been so popular that SenLinYu has been picked up by a publisher, and she's kind of reimagined the title and called it Alchemised. So obviously she can actually sell the book and make money from this book. Now, full disclosure, I've never actually read Manacled. I did download it from a fanfiction site before it was removed in advance of this book coming out, so I do have it available and do intend to read it at some point in the future. What puts me off though is just how long this book is, and so I'm really waiting for an opportunity when I've got enough time to sit and watch it, because it'll probably take a good week to get through. But of course it's so famous, and also the limited edition version of this book looks so stunning that I couldn't resist but decided to pre-order it. So it'll probably end up just being a trophy on my shelf for a while, because I have no idea how long this book is going to be or how similar it's going to be to the fan fiction or how much has been changed. So I'm going to wait with bated breath to see what other booktubers say about this particular book, but we'll probably dive in, and I think I'll actually be quite interested to read this one before Manacled so that my opinion about the book isn't swayed by kind of the original work, if you like. I wanted to give that an honourable mention because it does come out in the month of September, and if you're interested, then I just kind of wanted to flag that with you to remind you it is coming out. The other book that is coming out in September, but is right at the end of September, is Bitter Burn by Simone, and so as a result that book will probably make its way into my October TBR, just because I know I definitely won't get a chance to read that at the end of this month. So this will actually be book 3 in the Lioness series, which is a trilogy featuring 3 main protagonists. We have Isolde, Tristan and Mark. So ultimately this will become an MMF romance, we are led to believe, but it's been very twisty turny, lots of things have been going on, and book 2 really did end on a cliffhanger, which I wasn't expecting at all. And so I'm really looking forward to this book, and like I say, I won't be able to finish it by the end of September, but I'll definitely be reading it in the month of October for sure. So there were a couple of honourable mentions I wanted to share with you. They aren't going to be going on my TBR, like I said, but they are books that I've got my eye on that are coming out next month. Okay, so that is it. We've built my TBR for the month of September. That's 9 amazing books that is going on the list, so I cannot wait to dive into all of those and let you know what I thought of them at the end of September. As always, thank you so much for watching and taking precious time out of your day to hear what I have to say. I really do appreciate it. If you like this, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me, and all that's left for me to do is thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Let's just check I haven't got any lipstick on my teeth. I've just started a complete cascade of the stars, so I'll have to pick those up shortly. Oh, blimey. Okay, so I don't know where I was, but I was shaking them all over the floor. Can't catch a break with this, can I? Sorry, we're just gonna have to cut quite a lot of that out now with me dropping stuff on the floor and having to pick it back up.